For me, it was dealing with the constant hunger that goes with a deep calorie deficit. So when you're trying to get to that sort of single-digit body fat, people don't realize you're not just losing weight. Like you're putting yourself into a very specific category. You're
Going
always hungry. There's no point that you go to bed hungry, which is the most difficult thing to do.
So today we're discussing about a very special journey that both of you have been on in the past 60 days. For our viewers, both Sajan and Ali have been on a really intense, rigorous fat loss journey, both for different reasons. Sajan's reason is very glamorous, and Ali's reason less so, but equally important.
Yeah.
And I've not been a part of this almost like health transformation that they've been through, but I've seen it very closely. And I think there are lessons or tips that I can learn from
You've
it.
been a witness to the magic.
To the magic. Unwilling witness, maybe, but yeah. But yeah, let's talk to them about like what it's been like, especially because these are not your day jobs, and this
Yeah.
is a very big feat that you're trying to achieve apart from what you do on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
Let's start with Ali.
Yeah. So when it comes, you said he had a very glamorous reason. Just for the audience, is because Sajan is shooting a documentary in the next few days, and yes, we've got a star amongst us, and we've got another star behind the camera right now, which is
Our
Parth.
DOP Parth, who's the director,
the
videographer, the brains behind the documentary, and hopefully we can share snippets of that soon with all of you.
Yeah. But yeah, so coming back to the actual to the journey itself, मेरा कोई glamorous या उस तरह कोई reason नहीं था कि कोई photo shoot है or something like that.
वो नहीं है, it coincided.
It
So
coincided.
Let me clarify. It's not just glamour. I'm not a star. or anybody. It's just that I'll talk about my reason. We'll cover
Yeah.
Ali first, but it was not just.
नहीं नहीं साजन
It's okay. bro.
झूठ तो मत ही बोलो
No, but for me, it was more. So I've always been into fitness. ठीक है, मतलब 4-5 दिन हर हफ्ते I'd go work out, all of that. And it's been part of my life for a long time. But I felt over the past 3-4 months that I wasn't being as disciplined about it. So it was just going there, exercising, not really focusing on my diet and all of that. And I just wanted a challenge. I'm one of those people who, like, जिनको हर थोड़ी देर बाद ना होता है कि यार कोई नया breakthrough करना है. Like I have this problem. It's a double-edged sword. Like on the one hand, you end up doing interesting things, doing tough things, but then you also put yourself under a lot of pressure. So for me, it was sort of catch up fitness. Mein I want to try and live like an elite athlete for the next 3 months. And the goal I picked for that is something I had never done in my life before. And that is getting to
Now, goal you have done.
goal.
I mean, the goal I picked was, something I had not done in my life before. It was getting to single-digit body fat. And I mean, clearly, I mean, it's a vanity metric in a certain sense because you want to look a certain way. But also, for me, it was more, okay, can I be disciplined enough for the next 60 days or so to actually achieve that very difficult goal? It was very hard at the start because I'm someone who every weekend I go out a lot. Like I'll go for like a nice brunch with my friends, or like I'll have dinner, and like I really enjoy eating as well. तो
We know
उसको पूरा एक discipline करना खुद को, and then measuring everything I'm eating, calorie counting, all of that. And at the start it was difficult because you're not seeing immediate changes. But I'd say once I hit like a month, and then every week after that, I'd look in the mirror and I will look, oh, I didn't see that before. That's very cool. I didn't see that before. And that's a real shot in the arm. So yesterday, Sajan and I did like just to sort of bookmark our 60-day thing. We shot like a gym workout video, and I was looking at it, I was like, wow, this feels so good. So I started at 70 kg. I woke up today at 61 and a half. That was
In 2
60
months.
days. That was 2 months.
Crazy.
Nice.
So it does feel very good, once you've reached that stage. And not just because, I'm looking a certain way, but I just love the fact कि मैं उन 60 दिन वो discipline से जिंदगी गुजार पाया, right? And it meant saying no to a lot of things.
Yeah.
Like saying no to social interaction in certain cases. मैं dinners पे जाता था अपने दोस्तों के साथ, and like my friends will attest to this. वो खाना खा रहे हैं, and literally I'll order sparkling water. I just have sparkling water.
We both have been doing this.
Yeah, we've been doing the same. And then what I learned is it's fine. You can do that.
Yeah.
Right?
That was very funny because we met up last weekend and none of us were eating. It was so funny. Sajan gym से आया था, Ali gym से आया था, मैं 7 किलोमीटर भाग के आई थी, and we're sitting in a very nice cafe, and the waitress is giving us looks क्योंकि we ordered 2 sparkling waters and 1 smoothie.
Yeah.
And then फिर हम एक और रेस्टोरेंट में गए जो बहुत अच्छा था, and then we ordered 2 sparkling waters and 1 diet coke.
Yeah.
And we chatted for like 3 hours and then we came home. But it goes on to show कि मतलब with good friends and close social
Yeah.
connections, if sometimes you can have those
You
interactions.
really can do that.
Yeah, you can really have a good outing on a weekend without eating.
I think like, the thing is, a lot of it is in your mind.
Yeah.
Right? This is what
Mm.
people need to
Yeah.
understand. Like, it doesn't have to be fitness.
Yeah.
Any other goal you have, right? It starts with your mind. And you understanding that your body or your it will give up before your your mind will give up before your body does. That's something I learned as well. Like if I'm in a deep calorie deficit, like I'm eating 1800 calories, right? And I go to the gym and I have to take every set to failure. But then let's say I've hit 12 reps and then I talk to myself. I say, "Nahin, you've got 4 more in you," right? And then I'll do 4 more. It's really in your mind.
How much deficit were you on?
I'm in a deficit right now as well. I'm in like a deep 600-700 calorie deficit. I'm eating
Your
1600,
maintenance is 25.
24. Yeah. I'm eating 16 to 1700 right now.
Got it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your journey, Sajan. We like to know why you started it.
Okay, to clarify, it was not a vanity metric for me. It coincided with a documentary that I'm doing with Part. But for me, it was for a very long time, I wanted to put myself through a rigor. I wanted to see the best version of myself. Of course, physical fitness was a part of it. And I have been working out for past 5-6 years now, more, I guess. So while the fitness was sort of a check in the box, it was also about a regimen for me.
Yeah.
Meditating daily, reading daily, working on content creation, working, and at the same time, I have a job.
Yeah.
So, eating clean, absolutely no alcohol, no any sort of substance, nothing for that sort.
I want to discuss this. I want to talk about what he eats on a daily basis because when he says clean, he doesn't
Honestly,
mean...
it's really sad.
Yeah, it's not just salads. It's like, please tell them what you eat.
I can say this thing, having boiled chicken for your dinners really can make you question your life choices. And I did that for the last 60 days. So yeah, I think...
but like, just to make it clear, it's because you're actually... It's a very specific goal around
my
your
use case
sodium
is
and
specific,
around your sodium and water intake. So it's
Yeah.
For the people listening, you don't have to do that
Yeah.
to lose weight.
Certainly.
Sajan is doing something very specific.
So, okay, there were multiple reasons. One reason was, of course, I wanted to put myself through that rigor because I wanted to become the best version of myself. Second, I wanted to live the life of discipline that I always wanted out of myself. And it stems from my idea of a yogi. Thirdly, so I work out very, very hard, and my coaches can really vouch for that. I have never had discipline issues, at least in terms of fitness or my gym regime. But in other areas of life, of course, discipline has been a little bit in doldrums. So in addition to discipline, my body could never see that real transformation because as a person with disability, I sit throughout the day.
Yeah.
My body tends to get very rigid. Or in fact, while I'm no doctor to be able to say that, but usually the kind of bodies that I have seen for people with disabilities, their bodies tend to get very rigid and the transformation does not come very easily.
Yeah.
all at once was a challenge, that I wanted to put myself through. See, do I really have it in me? Of course, I could not put Desi Expats on a back burner. I
Yeah.
could not put my real job at Amazon on a back burner. It all had to come through at the same time. It it was a test of my physical, mental, and emotional strength.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now that it's coming to a closure, it's seeing the full arc.
Yeah.
I cannot even express how happy I feel. Of course, it has done things to my body,
Yeah.
but what it does to you mentally is something I don't think of even in a podcast.
You know, I was reading a very interesting thing, and I don't want to get too deep about it, but you know how pleasure and pain are part of, like, two sides of the same
part of the
coin,
brain.
right? No, yes,
Yeah.
but also like, so it's more like it's two sides of the same coin. So
Yeah.
if you have too much pleasure, eventually it will turn into pain. Like, let's say you're drinking a lot, eventually you're going to get a very bad hangover. You're going to get cirrhosis in your liver, right? Eventually.
Yeah.
At the same time, there's certain pains you can put yourself through, like the rigor and pain that goes with going through a very, intense physical transformation. And then you will see a very unique type of pleasure in the end, which we're feeling right now after those 60 days. And that type of pleasure, when you've, earned that you've earned that dopamine, it has more of a longer arc, I think, in your head.
And when we talk about it, let's not forget, Ali is an investment banker. I'm a product manager at a firm which is notorious for its work-life balance.
Yeah.
It wasn't really easy. The kind of, we have had midnight calls. It's not happening.
Yeah.
हम ये क्यों कर रहे हैं? Have we gone nuts?
Yeah.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
We did go nuts. We did do, like, we did see through our transformation. And now when it's happening, at least I feel very confident that this is the time I will look back at in my lifetime and tell myself that I'm never going to question my discipline. I'm never going to question my ability to work hard.
What was the toughest part in these 60 days for you?
I think there were multiple tough parts.
No, not tough times, but like tough element to manage.
Oh, having boiled chicken for dinner, which has next to nil salt, is made me question my life choices.
Yeah.
What am I doing?
For me, it was dealing with the constant hunger that goes with a deep calorie deficit. So when you're trying to get to that sort of single-digit body fat, people don't realize you're not just losing weight. Like you're putting yourself into a very specific category. You're
going
always hungry. There's no point that you go to bed hungry, which is the most difficult thing to do. And I mean, in my line of work, I work very long hours. So there were days I was doing 3 a.m.s every day on a week at work.
Yeah.
And then I was working out, I was managing my diet and all of that. So feeling that hunger, and you can't order that pizza or you can't order that burger at 1 a.m. It was quite a challenge for me. But then, like, going through that and like now sitting here having done that, I'm so glad I did that. Because I value, developing my ability to say no to that voice in my head or that craving more than I would like the comfort of like getting a pizza or a burger when I'm stressed.
Forget the pizza or burger.
Yeah.
Because even after hunger, the food I get is a boiled chicken.
Yeah. You were in a different type of pain altogether.
Yeah, the last time we met, he was like, I am eating 100 grams of rice. Do you know how much that is? And I'm like, I don't. 2 spoons, literally.
So that I actually want to clarify the reason my salt intake is very closely monitored. Of course, if you are having the right macros, you are within deficit, you are working out, you will get in a very, very good body shape in about 30, 60 days, whatever timeline that you have in mind. But for in my case, my body retention was, my body's water retention was very, very high. And because of long sitting hours, I had huge obliques, which had to be worked upon. And that's where the entire, not fat, but the water was stored. It had to be flushed out of the system in like in a very controlled way
Yeah.
to my diet.
So if someone was to go to suddenly, like if someone was to, they're on a fat loss journey, they don't, it's not necessary that they have to do something as intense as us. But what would your sort of general tip, like 2 or 3 tips be to someone who's looking to lose a bit of fat?
In fact, I was talking to my uncle today on the
Yeah.
same topic. So I would say there are a few things. One is, of course, avoid sugar and fried food.
Yeah.
I'm keeping it very basic
Yeah.
for anyone. Know the science behind macros and
Yeah.
try to stay in deficit
Yeah.
and have at least 4 to 5 workouts in a week. One being an endurance workout, one being an HIIT format workout, which takes your heart rate to higher rate, and then 2 to 3 weightlifting workouts. And at the same time, focus on NEAT, which is non-exercise active thermogenesis, which involves
Like
walking,
walking,
having an active lifestyle.
lifestyle, yeah.
overall. So these are the few things that I would recommend to anyone. And of course, sleep is very, very important. Your body burns fat not when you are awake, but when you are asleep.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah.
I should be burning more fat.
Yeah,
There's a book
people-
called Why We Sleep.
Matthew Walker, amazing book.
Amazing book.
Amazing book. Just on that, like, I'll come to the tips, but just one very cool thing. People ask, like, what happens to the fat, right? When you're losing fat, like, how does it go out? You breathe it out, actually.
What?
Yeah. So it actually turns into a certain type of molecule that goes out of your breath. So
While sleeping? Or
no,
like
just like
every
throughout
day?
the day.
Okay.
But sleeping as well, yes. Well, that's just a cool fact for people who didn't know. My tips, there's a lot of information out there, right? People can go understand what macros are, what a caloric deficit is. You can have all the knowledge in the world about all of these things, but if you don't have the discipline to apply yourself, then that knowledge doesn't amount to shit, right? So, and in order to get that discipline, you really need to work on your mind, I think. What I really learned is a healthy body or a healthy life starts with a healthy mind. So if your mind is in the right place, you can be disciplined enough to actually make those difficult decisions and delay gratification long enough.
Yeah.
I always feel like if someone has an eating problem and they've got cravings, and I think they've got something here. It's in the mind. It starts there.
Yeah.
So work on that. That's it.
One should have that discipline to be able to resist and stay equanimous. Nice. I think that covers
everything.
The fat loss journey.
fat loss or more so the transformation journey.
Yeah.
Yeah, stay tuned for Sajan's documentary where he will actually be displaying the results of his fat loss journey.
The results. Yeah, what we look forward to sharing more from the documentary making with you guys.
And you saw Ali's shirtless reel already yesterday.
And you guys should, in the comments section, tell us about the challenges you're facing for your fitness goals.
Yeah.
Let's get a discussion going.
Yeah.
Absolutely.